Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to talk about the Beauty A to Z project pan. I'm doing it in two different styles, so I have two alphabets that I'm going through, and for each and every letter I have an item. And I have an eyeshadow edition and I have a normal edition with lots of other beauty related products. Let's go through the normal one first because I don't have a lot to talk about there. I have not been able to work on almost anything. Well, let's start off with an empty, so we start on a positive note, right? We have the Starry Night Nourishing Foot Cream by Sense. I am finally done with this one. And I am so happy to have a foot product out of my collection. And because I have this as an empty, I can now start to work on a really big hand cream that I've been wanting to finish this whole year. But I don't really want it for my hands. So using it on my feet is the best way to use it, I think. But I had this going on, so I couldn't do that before now, but now I can. So I'm happy for that. And unfortunately, that was the only empty we had for this month. Although I have something here that I am very close to finish off, and that is this X by Margot Hold My Hand hand cream. I mean, we are very far down. So yeah, this will probably be an empty for the next update, which is really nice to know. Something else that I will be working on is, of course, this Centered De-Stress Therapy Balm. This is the last therapy balm I have, so I haven't been going very quickly with this one. I've just used it here and there, but I think I'm going to try to, try to remember it a little bit more. This is all that we have. So I use it on my wrists, I use it on my ankles, and yeah, that's how I'm using it. There's not a lot to begin with, but yeah. I just have to use it to use it up, And the last product that I want to talk about is the white lip balm for the letter L lip balm. I have no idea where it is. I showed it in the last update, but I can't find it anymore. And I haven't been able to find it since. So what I'm going to do, because I can't finish something that I don't know where it is and we don't have too much time, so I'm going to switch that out for another lip balm, since, it's the L lip balm. So yeah, I'm going to roll in this Yves Rocher Clementine and Spices scented lip balm. I have had it in another project for 50 uses. I have used it about maybe 55 times or something until now, and this is how it looks. So I have marked it for you today, so we're right about there. Okay, I hope you can see well, like the lighting, it's not even that light in here, but for some reason it's like really, really, really light in my monitor. So I hope when I edit this, maybe it will be a tiny bit darker. I don't know. One can hope. So my goal is to finish this one off. Also, I want to show you how far down I am in this, so you can see how much progress, because usually these go straight up to the top when they're new. So this is how much I've used so far. And that was it for this portion of the video. Now let's talk about eyeshadows, because this is an exciting one. Okay, so let's start off with the letter D, and that comes from my Daring Nudes palette from Catrice. I was working on the second shade on the second row, and this is what it looks like now. It's a lovely shade, and I was not prepared for how sparkly it was, how shimmery, how buttery it was. It was almost like the Gloss Gods shimmers, which is like top notch. So yeah, really, really great shimmer. And this, like Catrice, it's a really cheap brand, so I'm like, really? You can find this good quality in such a cheap palette? Well, thank you then. So yeah, that one has a pan in it and it is rolling out. Then for the letter E, we have our e.l.f. palette, the the small one. It's a bite-sized one called Berry Bad. I was working on the first shade. I'm going to cover up the other shades because I am working on them in another project. And here you can see a tiny little pan. I have used this 17 times to get to that little pan, and it's a little bit interesting because this is obviously a matte, well, I would say beige to rosy shade, and I used it 17 times. But I'm pretty sure I have used one of these shimmers in here for more times than that. In my book, that's unheard of. Like, I usually hit pan on shimmers really quickly, and I don't think I've ever like seen a palette in which I can hit pan faster or in less uses on a matte than a shimmer. So that's really interesting. Although I have to say, I really like these shades. They're really nice, and the shimmers are buttery and the mattes are, they're good. They're kind of soft. At least the first one. I don't care for the dark brown that much. So anyway, let's move on. We have another pan there. So the next letter I have been working on is the letter K, and I have a shade called Katsina, and that is from this Julia's Place, the Saharan. So I'm going to cover up other shades that I'm working on in other projects, and this is the one we're working on in this one. I am using this as a bronzer, and I have used this 23 times this month. 23 times, and you can barely see a dent. I can see that I've used it, but you know, the dent isn't that big. And I have another pan in this palette, and they are pretty deep, I would say. So this will take a long time. But like I said, I have used it 22 times. And all of those times were from this month. Then for the letter S, we have a silver shade, and that is from my Bare Necessities by Phase Zero. And I hit pan on this yesterday, actually. So I hope you can see that little pan, even if it is a silver. It's not just a speck of the shadow, but the silver of the pan underneath. So we do have a pan, and it's not too deep, actually. I'm hopeful about the other shades now. So that's very nice. My goal this year is to hit pan in all of my palettes. And I think this is one of the benefits later on when I want to, you know, hit pan on other shades. I know what it takes. I know how deep they are. I can see how they look. And yeah, it just gives me some information about the palette, you know? So that one is rolling out, and then I'm wearing it today. We have a very goldy shade in my Truffle Cosmetics Praline palette. Now I have used this 3 additional times this month for a total of 7 times. This is for the letter T, Trifle, from Trifle Cosmetics. So I'm working on the last shade here, the gold one. So maybe you can see that we have a little bit of a dip, and most of it I got in today's look. I was trying to go for like a square look, like I was going to do like not a square, like a diamond almost. And it did not pan out the way I wanted it to, so I changed my directions just a little bit. I gotta say, this is much more of an orangey gold, which I appreciate. I think it looks almost a little bit like a red, yellow, orangey. Yeah, it's a really nice gold, I will say. I'm usually not into golds, so whenever I can find a gold that I like, I'm very happy. And the last palette is this Papyrus palette from ZC. I was working on the last shade in here. No, this one. And you can see that I do have a little bit of a dip, but not that much if you consider how many times I've actually used it. This month alone, I have used it 14 times, and that makes a total of 43 times. 43 times I have used it, and I don't have a bigger dip than this. And I'm using an angled brush. I'm using something that would drill down a hole faster. And one of you guys mentioned that if I want to use it in my brows, because I mentioned it was just a little bit too warm for me. And she was like, well, just add a little blue it will become, you know, a cooler shade. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't think about that before. So I have, and that's how I've been using it lately. It works very well actually. First I used a very dark blue and the shade became way too dark. And then I used a lighter blue and it became a little bit too light, and you know, it's a balance. But as far as the shade goes, or the color, it was very nice. So thank you so much for that suggestion. And those were all of the things. So I am rolling out 4 items today, 3 eyeshadow palettes and 1, what was it? The foot cream. Yeah, the foot cream. So the foot cream and 3 eyeshadow palettes are rolling out. I'm very happy with that. Until next time, I hope to have another pan in the gold shade. But other than that, yeah, I will try to use this one up. I will try to use this as much as possible. I don't know if I will use it up. But yeah, that is my plan. That is how I'm doing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that I'll see you in the next one. Have a great evening. Bye.